Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and I'm so excited we have this great team of ladies to talk about Compass Rose Public Schools today. So they represent the many different campuses of Compass Rose, which is it's so exciting for me to say that because I remember when Compass Rose was just a stack of papers being sent to Austin for an application, and now it's a whole network of schools in San Antonio and Austin. Let me introduce the people who are taking their time to explain to us about Compass Rose. Next to me is Ryane Burke, who's the executive director of Compass Rose Public Schools. So she oversees the different campuses and wears a lot of different hats. Has been very helpful for us in updating the enrollment guide blog post that we're featuring today on our social media. And there's a link to that post in the description of the video. So if you're seeing the video first and you haven't seen the blog post, I encourage you to click on the link, and it's rich with information and links to their websites and things like that. So Ryane, thank you. We also have, let's see, next to Ryane is Brittany Thompson, and she is the principal at Compass Rose Journey, which is in Windcrest. That's the campus that just opened. And I remember I first met Brittany, I think it was at Meet the Teacher Night, the first year that the original Compass Rose School opened. So Brittany, I'm so proud of you, how far you've come, and you're a school leader now. We also have Melissa Sanchez, who is the principal at Compass Rose Ingenuity Elementary School. That's the campus that's down at Port San Antonio. So that is the second campus that Compass Rose opened in San Antonio. And then next to Melissa is Gabby Patton, and she is the principal at Compass Rose Legacy Elementary School, and that's located at Brooks on the kind of the southeast side of San Antonio, and that was their first facility in San Antonio. So, whew, okay, I passed my pop quiz about Compass Rose campuses, and now we get to like dive in deeper and learn about the school model, learn about like what's unique about each of these campuses, and then at the end we're gonna talk about like how families can enroll, how they can get their kids. So, okay, so I'm gonna put Ryane on the big screen here and ask Ryane about the mission and vision of Compass Rose Public Schools. And I'm behind the owl, but here we go. Okay. Go ahead,
Awesome.
Ryane.
First of all, thank you, Inga, so much for having us here. Always a privilege and honor to be present with these three wonderful leaders here. They're the absolute best. Super proud to just be in their presence and to have them join us for this conversation today so they can speak to the unique aspects of their schools. Would love to just start out by talking about Compass Rose as an organization, as a network of schools. Our vision is really to make sure that our students are on the path to pursue their individual biggest dreams, right? Navigate, as we say, life's biggest opportunities. You'll hear our founder and CEO, Paul Morrissey, say, right, our goal is to provide a compass, not a map, right? And so to make sure that our students are fulfilling their own journeys, right? Like really making sure that their dreams have become a reality through all of the preparation, right? Through all of the learning and growth experiences that we're providing within our schools. All of our schools, as we said, are very unique, which I think is a really exciting part of being at Compass Rose. And we're all grounded in sort of like this common vision and common values, ensuring that our spaces are equitable and inclusive for our students. And I think that the thing that really all grounds all of us together is what we call our right values, right? Respect, ingenuity, growth, honesty, and teamwork. These are the things that you'll see across all of our walls. And so while we have unique things happening at our campuses, unique academic focus areas, you'll see some common sort of like student culture pieces that happen across our schools. And of course, we have wonderful leaders who are really leading that work in their individual way across our schools here in San Antonio.
Thank you, Ryane. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna go back to the Brady Bunch screen here. So that's a great introduction to Compass Rose, and like I've seen the right. I saw that on the walls at Compass Rose Journey when I was there for the ribbon cutting. But the next question I have is about sort of how are the teachers supporting the students' academic progress? Because Ryane, we spoke earlier in the summer. You were kind of previewing like what the plan was at Compass Rose, and particularly the idea about universal reading growth, and that really grabbed my attention because I thought, of all the things to focus on, how do we support students as the pandemic kind of, becomes what we live with, I guess. Like that's like universal reading growth is a really important goal. But I wanted to hear more about like, how the teachers can support students' progress.
Yep. So I would love to speak to that. Our teachers work, and in our campuses, they work very individually for our students, and we want to make sure, like Ryan said, that they have a compass rather than a map, right? So we have provided very tailored intervention that happens 3 times a day at my campus. Once is in the midst of instruction, once is supplemental instruction, and then third is the last portion of the day where they're working on their individualized growth goals that they are determined to find through the map testing process and the M-class process.
Well, that's let's see. Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm getting confused by my screens here. Okay. Thank you, Gabby. That's a really good snapshot. And so I want to mention, like, in the so around back to school time, we published a guest post from the Compass Rose team, and it explains in more detail about the universal reading growth goals, and also like safety on campus and things like that. So I encourage folks that, this conversation is great. There's also more information on the blog. Okay, so the next question I want to ask, and again, this is also covered in the blog post, but it's good to have a conversation about it, and that's about supporting students' social emotional learning, and also achieving goals around equity, because those are baked into what Compass Rose is trying to do. So, so who wants to tackle those questions?
I'll go ahead and tackle that question. So one of the big things about social emotional learning is that we look at the whole student, right? Like we want them to grow and have these great universal reading growth goals, but we also want them just to be good people, right? To be good people. But we can't do that if we don't truly authentically build relationships, which is a foundational part of our Compass Rose culture. So regardless of the school that you go to, relationships are what drives our work with our kids and with our families, right? So it's making sure that we're being, as a community, as a whole, we are supporting the child. And then we have specific times throughout the day, like advisory or homeroom, depending on the schools that you call it. It has different names, but we use that time to do like circles and do times to give kids a chance to like talk about their feelings. I have a lunch munch that I have that just likes to come to me. We have a bunny here on campus too, that when they need just a break or a moment, they have that place. But we don't ever say like, oh, we can't talk about feelings. Feelings aren't real. We embrace those and we help them work through that. We craft and cater plans to those. And from an equity lens, right, we are not going to be the school or the school system that talks about suspensions and all these things. No, we believe in a restorative approach. We believe in making sure that we are figuring out solutions, getting to the root cause, and then developing a plan and making sure that we're helping a student grow and figure out because kids make mistakes. That's who they are. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to push boundaries, and we know that. And so how do we help them to make better choices in their actions and support them in the ways and be really creative with the way that we're approaching their discipline, so that we're making sure that they're successful, and that how they come to us is that they learn how to grow, learn how to advocate for themselves, and learn how to just see their future and see what they want to achieve, and allow them to become those people and find their true north. Yeah.
Well, Brittany, the way you describe that, it makes so much sense, but I know it's not always done that way at schools. And, that's why I hope parents listening to this are soaking it in and kind of using these ideas as a yardstick as they go and visit other campuses. That, they need, it's a good question to ask, how do they handle discipline, and are students excluded from settings? And, how do you make students feel safe and included? So those are really good points. Okay, so the next question I have is going to go out to all of y'all, because I want you to talk about what's unique about each campus, and what's different about the school model, because they each respond to the geography of where they are in San Antonio, what industries are nearby. So okay, so who wants to go first? Okay, go ahead, Melissa.
I can go. So we are down by Port San Antonio. So Compass Rose Ingenuity focuses on aviation. You can even see a big airplane outside. So that's super cool. And we do STEM and cyber gaming. So in the secondary school, they're doing cybersecurity and coding and gaming right now, computer science. The elementary school, we're doing more of a STEAM. So it's the STEM with a really wonderful art program, but we're also doing aviation in the elementary school and in the secondary school. So when I researched, there's not too many schools, or I couldn't find any elementary schools that taught aviation. There were high schools. And so we're proud to say that we're one of the only schools in elementary that actually have an aviation curriculum. So we're super excited about having that this year.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because Port San Antonio used to be known as Kelly. It was an Air Force base for a long, long time. It's being redeveloped, and now there's new industries moving in, including cybersecurity. So, the model at Compass Rose Ingenuity is very responsive to what's happening and in the Port San Antonio area. Okay, so who wants to go next?
I can go. So we at Legacy Elementary and Legacy Secondary are focused on entrepreneurship, which is super awesome and unique. It was actually one of the things that brought me over as an employee because I had never heard of a charter program that focused on teaching kids how to become business professionals or how to be creative thinkers. And so I thought that was super just impressive to me, that we're like teaching kids how to create business plans or teaching kids how to think like business designers and equipping them for like a different kind of world than what we were used to. And so on my campus, the way that looks for elementary, because it's a really big idea for little brains, we actually are pioneering a Shark Tank experience for the kiddos that is starting in our second semester, And so students will work all semester long to create a Shark Tank proposal to like execution of the plan, and then they will present their Shark Tank plan to the parents and staff at the end of the year. And so they're going to go all the way from like understanding their demographic, understanding their target audience, all the way to product finality. And so we're really excited about that.
That sounds amazing. My kids, they talk about business ideas like that. Well, so I mean, they're 11 and 14 now, but I remember I took them to an entrepreneurship camp pre-pandemic, and it was something like it really sparked their imagination, because they think of it as something different. That's what adults do, but the building blocks are things that kids can wrap their heads around too, and it helps them to think about, well, that's a longer term goal, and how do I get the skills I need now so that I can do that someday. So it's a great way to get kids motivated if they're not sure, well, why do I need to know this? Then, it's like, well, if this is your dream, these are the steps you need to get there. Yeah. Okay. So then, now, Brittany, now it's your turn.
Yes. So the campus here at Journey is focused on nature-based and public health. It's a nature-based campus with a public health lens. And so what we're doing, or I said that right, so it's public health with a nature-based lens. So how we're approaching the work is that we do have a class dedicated. So each kid takes a public health class, and that curriculum is designed by Frank Lopez. And so he's the assistant principal here. And it's really teaching kids how, like, all things public health related, there's different criteria that we are meeting and different standards that he's going into. And so right now we're talking about healthy relationships in our classes, which is, as you know, coming back into this almost post-pandemic world, that we need to talk about relationships and how kids can reconnect again as a part of the public health sector in our curriculum right now. And then the nature bases, we have our beautiful learning garden here, so we're giving kids opportunities to go outside, but we're also teaching them how to take care of their nature and how to have this reciprocal relationship with nature. And so we're going to do that. We do that through gardening, like they're already planting vegetables in the garden, and also giving them place-based opportunities to go to different places to visit, to explore different nature outlets, so around San Antonio. So that's really what our school is driven by, between this nature-based and public health lens within our campus.
Yeah, that's amazing. Actually, so Ryan, can I put you on the spot a little bit, and you could mention the campus in Manor that's in the Austin region, just in case there's any Austin folks tuning in.
Sure. Our campus in Manor is focused on computer science and STEM as well. And of course, we know that there are some booming industries that are rapidly moving into the area. And so I think all of our schools in their own way are responsive to the sort of like the needs and the culture of the community, and also just like really relevant work that our students are involved with in that can happen directly in their community, right? Like we can be responsive to public health and support the health of our local community. Our students in Manor can like get jobs in the tech field, right? Like those are very relevant and very near to them things that can happen in the very near future. So I think that that's really the goal of creating these unique school experiences, being responsive to the community and also creating a relevant space and time for our kids.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's important, and yeah, and it's there's the opportunity for partnerships if folks, the businesses in that area, can connect with the students, and it's serving a need of what the industries are. They're trying to hire kids with those skills, so it's a great way to work both ways. Okay, so I want to open this up to hear some success stories, or kind of how are these ideas working in action. I know Compass Rose Journey is very new. That y'all just opened in August, but I hope all of y'all have stories to share. So who wants to go first?
I'll start us off. So this is our second year with Gabby. We opened up the same year last year in the middle of this crazy COVID pandemic. And so I know we were like other schools just going through it. And I'm sure that they could tell as many stories as I can just around the successes that they've had at Legacy and the ones that we've had at Ingenuity. I tried to think, and there were like so many stories that I was trying to like narrow it down just around some conversations I've had with parents this year, from the new parents and then some returning parents. So the new parents that have come this year have shared their experience around in my previous school, my kids were getting bullied or they were in fights, and I haven't had any calls regarding that this year. So definitely around feeling the safety, around the culture, being able to share their feelings. So that's been a powerful reoccurring conversation that I've had with parents. And then returning parents of those students who had challenging behavior last year, where, typically a school would just want to give up or throw the towel in because the behavior was something maybe out of control or didn't know what next steps to take. I definitely feel like across Compass Rose, we don't give up on our students and we stick with them no matter what. And so we met with parents, found resources with parents, had as many meetings as possible and worked together as a team. And literally we were looking through the students this year that were challenging last year, and they're doing great, and so we're like, wow, okay, and so the parents have just been thankful around like us sticking by them because they're not exhibiting those challenging behaviors this year or to that extent anymore. And so it's a great testament, I think, for Compass Roses. It's not an easy fix. It's a place where we just get in the trenches and we show up every day and we do the work every day. But we also know that it's transformational and it'll take time. So whether you talk to Brittany or to Ryane or to Gabby, I think you'll hear all of those same stories as that we don't give up on our kiddos and we're here for the long haul, and understand that it might take longer than one or two restorative conversations. It's us working together as a team. So I would say overall, those are the conversations that we've had as principals with parents.
Yeah. Well, just excluding a student is a quick fix. Yes, it stops the fight because that student's at home but they're not learning, and it doesn't diffuse whatever feelings caused the conflict, and it doesn't, right? Nobody gets heard, right? Nobody can be with their feelings, and but like you said, it takes longer to talk things through. It might take more sessions, but that's great to hear that it's paying off, and that students feel safer, and that students feel like they can belong, they feel included. It's
For
really
sure.
important. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so who's next? Who wants to share stories? Is it Gabby's turn? Okay, put Gabby on the big screen. Okay. Oh, Gabby, can you unmute?
My fault. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. You'd think that I'd have that down by now. Similar to Melissa, just like she mentioned, we are really grounded in this idea of we stick with our kids and we're with them. From the time they come to us to the time that they hopefully graduate with us, they're our kids. And so pandemic has proven to be very difficult on the social emotional burden for students, especially in the younger grades, because they can't quite articulate how it's affected them, but you can see it in their interactions with peers, and you can see it with the difficulty of just addressing some unfinished learning and things like that, like the social pressures that go with that is really difficult. And so I think a lot of our successes look like students who have chosen to come back to us because they feel not only like they're growing and that they appreciate the level of education that they're receiving, but also like they feel like this is home. Like a lot of our families in our surveys say like, my kids love like they love being at school. They run out of the car. They're so excited to be there. It feels like a family. The staff is all really warm and welcoming with them and with each other. And so I think when I think about being a principal, like that is one of the greatest things that I could ever hope for, is that both staff and families like love to be here. And so, yeah, like Melissa said, and it's not quick. It's not a quick fix. We work hard every single day, and we try to meet every kid where they're at every single day. And that is tough work, but it's such good work. And so, yeah, like I have like a ton of individual stories, but overall, that has to be one of our greatest highlights. I would 100% agree with Melissa.
Yeah. No, I've seen like in bits and pieces, like every now and then I'll see like a newsletter or something, and it shows like it just seems like there's always stuff going on, and it's work to create school culture, but I think that like if students, like if they had to be home for quarantining or because of the pandemic, or they were in distance learning, like maybe they weren't building up those skills of like being independent or like being around peers, and then you have to be thoughtful about how you kind of rebuild that culture. But it sounds like it's paying off, and that they're happy to be back in person. They're proud of the work that they're doing, and there's a sense of teamwork there. So that's really good to hear. Okay, so I'm going to put Brittany on the big screen to share some stories.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think like one of the things that one parent said is that like, man, I finally feel like I have a team, and thank you for not giving up on us. Like yeah, like I think that like was one thing that like resonated with me, because it's like we don't give up on kids. Like what Gabby and Melissa said, like we just don't. Like we will try to figure out a plan, we would try to work, and we work in partnership with our families. I also think from the kids, like I was doing a restorative, and one just said, thank you so much for just taking the time to talk with us. Like, right? Like I'm talking to a sixth grader, and they're like, just thank you for talking to us. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, like it was like, usually you just get in trouble, but nobody ever talks. Like I never got talked to by like somebody that just sat down, like, let me take the time to figure out like this situation. And so I think that like, even when like sometimes you don't think they hear us, they really do hear us, and they do see those actions around like us taking the time to figure out those issues with them, to talk through them, to like help them problem solve and give them tools. Like they want that. And so like for that was like just a powerful moment. And then we got a note about one of our students, and it just said, thank you for allowing him to be his authentic self. And so I think that those are just three different pieces that represents like the culture of Compass Rose, right? Like people can be who they are, and they get to explore that, and they're not hindered by anything to not do that. And we just help them to figure that out for themselves. And we're just here as guides, and we're supportive. We don't give up on kids, and we listen. We listen, and we work, like we rebuilt those relationships with them. So if I was talking, those would be the stories that I would highlight.
Yeah. Well, talking about the sixth grader who said, "Thank you for listening. Thank you for talking this through with us." That, that's a way. I mean, they're learning problem solving, and they can take that with them, right? And then y'all are modeling a way of treating people that's really positive, and the world needs more of that. So I'm really glad that you're shaping a set of kids who will go into the future, able to listen to each other, and and try to understand what harm they did, or try to explain how they were harmed, and just have like constructive conversations to solve things, instead of people just yelling at each other or just holding on to resentment, because I feel like there's too much of that in the world. So Ryane, I know you're not like maybe in contact with families as much as the other ladies, but do you have stories to share about your observations?
I have many. I think, from my perspective, I think for me, it's those moments that I see in classrooms where students are like figuring stuff out, right? Whether it's like digging deep into a text and being like, oh my gosh, the character did this thing that like I totally didn't think they were going to do, right? Like I see these moments where kids are like digging in and having real authentic conversations about great text. I saw a lesson last week in a classroom where students had built these like Lego robots, and they were trying to figure out like how to make it stronger. And there was like no direction from the teacher. It was like, just figure out how to make it stronger. And kids were just like, oh, should we do this or should we do this? Right. And they were like figuring it out and problem solving together. So I think a lot of the success stories I see is just in like the quality of the people who are in front of kids every day, right? And like the lessons and the authentically engaging spaces that they're creating, everything from, foundational literacy skills, guided reading lessons to, right, the more like rigorous like science and reading lessons that are happening and math lessons that are happening across the board. So I think for me, that's the biggest success stories right now.
Yeah, well, I remember pre-pandemic going to visit at Legacy, and it was like there were like demo lessons, right? So it was prospective teachers were able to like they were and parents and even students got to kind of watch and offer feedback on that. And I think that all along the way, having such like careful hiring practices and making sure that everyone who comes in is working at a high level, that's really important. And it's inspiring to me to see how fast Compass Rose has grown, and maintaining quality at the campuses. And that has to do with the people. So, okay. So, gosh, this has gone by really fast, but I want to make sure before we close out that we talk about like how families who hopefully are inspired by this and want to learn more about how to get their kids enrolled at Compass Rose. And I have my little banners that I can pop up on screen. So, okay, so actually, I'll put Ryan. Ryan's going to handle this, right? Explaining to families how they can get their kids enrolled at Compass Rose.
Sure. We do have space available for our current school year. So families are more than welcome to go to our website and fill out an application to enroll to our schools, whenever they would like. In terms of the actual open enrollment period for next year, we are launching that on November 1st. So families who are interested for the upcoming school year should submit their applications to enroll beginning on November 1st. And then our lottery will be held on February 4th. There are lots of ways to get in touch with us. Of course, our website, we hope, is an informative spot for our families to get any information that they need. We also love to give tours of our campuses. We welcome families to come in and visit us to really see the space for themselves. Beautiful buildings, right? Like beautiful classroom spaces, awesome people, right? Like just see sort of how the schools are. And of course, our social media and our Facebook pages are really good ways to get in touch with us. Each of our schools has an individual Facebook page. So Compass Rose Ingenuity, Compass Rose Journey, Compass Rose Legacy. And then we do have a network-wide Compass Rose Public Schools site. So families are welcome to visit us on those individual Facebook pages or on our site. And send us messages. We have folks who are rapidly responding to families basically throughout the day, and you can get them set up with tours information or enrollment information as well.
Yeah, I agree that taking a tour is a great way to get to know what Compass Rose is like, and and just knowing that there's multiple campuses. Actually, one thing I want to mention too that's unique about Compass Rose, there are not that many open enrollment charter schools in San Antonio that offer transportation, but Compass Rose does have transportation. It's kind of a depot system, like so they may not stop at every house, but but as a way to like get kids to and from. As somebody who now does 2 drop-offs every day, like yeah, transportation is a big deal. So. But yeah, and there's more details like that in the blog post, but like really the best way is to, go like, contact the campus, use the website or, or call, like Ryan said, they're very responsive and, they'll find an opportunity for families to get to look at the school up close and decide if it's a good fit for their kids. So let's see, I'm going to put those dates up on screen. So open enrollment for the next school year, November 1st through February 4th. If you're kind of wondering what's this up with open enrollment and lotteries and things like that, the San Antonio Charter Moms discussion group on Facebook is a great place to kind of crowdsource information on that, because there's thousands of families in the group and a lot of us have been through the lottery process before and we can kind of explain. But of course, Compass Rose can explain how their particular system works as well. So I guess if y'all have time, do you want to go do a round, everybody kind of offer a closing thought or just advice for parents who are have probably wrapped up the first quarter of the school year. Melissa, you want to go first?
Sure. I just wanted to thank you, Inga, for giving us the opportunity to just share a little bit more about Compass Rose. And for all the parents, I'm glad that there's a place where parents can have choices and know that at the end of the day, it's their precious baby and they can go and take a look and see it. I hope that people will come to Compass Rose and come visit one of our campuses and see if it's a fit for your little one. And we really look forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you. Okay, Gabby, you want to go next?
Yes. Again, thank you, Inga. This has been a really cool experience, and I appreciate getting to talk about my school because I love talking about it. I'll never turn down an opportunity to do that. Very proud of the work that we do. And I would just, again, echo and invite any families who are interested to come out and come and take a tour with us. I also love leading the tour. So I would love to meet y'all and just have you come out, meet our staff, take a look at our building, and hopefully see all of the great things that we have to offer. I truly believe that we can find and meet each student that we have. And so we'd love the opportunity.
That's great. Okay, Brittany, you're next. And first I want to mention Brittany, we wish you and your baby good health. Brittany has a bump that's below the screen. So
Yes. And so you can come and see me and my bump at Compass Rose Journey. Thank you, Inga, for giving us this platform. But also, just like as Melissa and Gabby said, we are very proud of the work that we do, and we do truly believe that that every kid can and will learn right within our schools, but we also believe in really partnering with families. And so if this sounds like the place for you, we encourage you to come out, take a tour, talk to our teachers, talk to our students, right? Get a feel of what we are about. And I promise you won't be disappointed.
Thank you. Okay, Ryan, you want to close this out?
Sure, I will. And I will echo Gabby. I think the pride in talking about our schools among this entire group, and myself, I would include in that. We could talk about our schools all day, I think, Inga, so we need more than 30 minutes next time. But all of the principals jumped on the opportunity, I will tell you. And these three lucky ladies were sort of the names I had to pull out of the hat because I couldn't have all of them. But everybody was ready to jump in. Everybody is, ready to just talk about their schools and all of the great things that we have to offer. Of course, the number one thing that we want for families, as Melissa said, is for our families to have great options and great choices that they can choose among, right? And, we know that our schools are one of those great options. And we are, happy and thankful to be able to offer that to our families. And we look forward to meeting lots of families for the upcoming school year. And we, again, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this has been Compass Rose Public Schools, website compassrosepublicschools.org. And I encourage everyone listening to learn more about it and maybe set up a tour. So thank you so much, y'all, for your time. And I can just sense the pride, and you love talking about Compass Rose, and I'm so glad to have you on the show.
Thanks, Inga.
Okay, take care.